So somewhere last year, I made a video of reading my library books before I need to return them because I just, needed to return my library books and had not read them, and I really wanted to read them. And I thought for this month, when I found myself in the same predicament, I do it again. So this is my library haul from last month, only 3 books, not a whole lot, but still 3 books. I already read Smile in my As Seen on Meet Me in the Media Center video, so we can put that aside. But then we have 2 other books, Hunting Adeline and The Lion Game, that I have not read yet. Now I have to say Hunting Adeline by H.D. Carlton, I put this on hold. So if I do not get around to this, I'll be very upset because I don't put books on hold often, and I did because I really wanted to read this book so badly. It's a sequel to Haunting Adeline, which I read last month, and it ended on a cliffhanger, so I need to read this book. And then The Lion Game by Ruth Ware, I'm not really super thrilled about reading, but I do still really want to read it. It is a mystery thriller by Ruth Ware. I am almost done with reading her backlist. I still have to read this and then her most recent release, and I've read every full-length novel she's written. So in that sense, I am quite excited to read this, but I don't even know what this is about. I haven't heard that many things about this book, so as long as I get to this, I'll be happy. But ideally, I'll get to both. Then I'll be able to return them knowing that I've read them all. So that's what we're doing today, as today is Friday, May 9th. I'm terrible with the dates. I don't know, I just put my phone. It is May 9th, Friday, May 9th. At least library books have to be returned on Tuesday, May 13th. So I have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I like a little bit of Tuesday, so that's 4 days and a half to read these books. So that's, 2 books a day. No, that's not correct. That's a book every 2 days, 2 days per book. Like a little bit of extra wiggle room. I think we can do that. I think we do. I'm in a very big reading mood, so let's hope this works. I'm gonna start, of course, with Hunting Adeline. Like I said, this is the sequel to Haunting Adeline, which is a stalker dark romance. It's adult, very adult. Be aware of that. As well as Adeline, who has just recently moved into her grandmother's home because her grandmother has passed away and left her this house, and she has always loved going to her grandmother, so she's like, I'm gonna live in it, even though her mom is like very against it because the house is like not actually haunted but haunted, you know what I mean? There's no real ghosts, it's not paranormal, but it's haunted. So her mom has always been kind of against that, but as Adeline moves into this house, she also acquires herself a stalker, and at the same time where she starts realizing that she's being stalked, she finds these diaries hidden in the house of her great-grandmother, who also was stalked and actually fell in love with a stalker. And she also learns that she was killed, she was murdered, she didn't just die of natural causes like she always thought, and the great-grandmother was killed. So now, like, mystery was never solved who did it, and now Adeline does kind of take it upon herself to try and figure out who murdered her great-grandmother, while also, of course, falling in love with a stalker just like her grandmother did. Okay, this is the second book. Book 1 left on such a cliffhanger, and I'm so excited to read this. Dark romance is not typically my thing, and if to say I really didn't like the romance on book 1, but I love the plot so much, so I'm very excited to read this. This is 636 pages long, but so was book 1. That was also a really long book, and I flew through it, so I think I will definitely be able to, make a good dent in this today, and then hopefully finish it tomorrow, because like I said, we have 2 days per book, which I'm so excited for this. So let's just get it started. Okay, so it is nearly 4 p.m. so I didn't mention when I updated you this morning, but it's been most of the day, or like the morning and afternoon, because there is still an entire evening. But I've been reading Hunting Adeline, and I am 310 pages in, which is right at part 2. This book is split into 2 parts. It is just a little under halfway though, as you can tell, but I'm having such a good time with this one, which feels weird to say because it's not a good time, you know what I mean? Like, the first book already has a lot of content warnings that I think you should look up if you want to read it, but this book, so much more intense. I feel like in the first book we kind of have a bit of a distance to kind of like these awful things happening, while in this book we're like right in the middle of it. I typically am not that bothered by stuff like that. Like, I can read a book without checking content warnings, but I even had some like moments in this book where I was like, oh, this is getting rough. So I highly recommend looking into the content warnings, especially for this one. But I just think the story so far has been so compelling. Like, I I know I said that I read book 1 very quickly, but I also did not expect to be this far along this early on already, because depending on how tired I am tonight, I think I might finish this book today, which would be very impressive to finish like a 600 plus page book in one day. But I honestly think I could do it, again depending on how tired I am tonight. But this has just been such a compelling read and such an interesting read. Like, I can talk to you a lot about what I thought about what I read, because I feel like I can't say anything about it without fully going into spoilers for the first book and like telling you what that cliffhanger was. The way things just went down in this first part was just so dark and twisted. It was really fucked up. What's happened, I thought our main character Adeline was just a interesting character to read from the perspective of, where she has that resilience and knows how to survive, if that makes sense. So I thought that, you know, was interesting. But then we also get the perspective of the love interest Z, and that kind of is a bit of a reprieve because he's outside of these things. I'm trying to be as vague as possible, so that gives a bit of a reprieve, but there is kind of like a ticking time bomb element to his chapters, if that, I think this makes sense. Well, you've read this book, but I'm trying to be as vague as possible when I spoil it again. But his chapters are kind of a race against the clock, if that makes sense. So it's not like very compelling, very quick to read because of that, but it is a bit more of a reprieve from like the darkness from Adeline's chapters. But I think it is just such a great read, so well written, and I am flying through it. I'm very excited to read the second half of this book because kind of I really love things off right now is a very interesting point, and I am curious to see kind of like the after effects of what has happened so far. Okay, so before dinner I ended up reading another 100 pages. I'm on page 400 now. Look at the box. Technically I'm at 90 pages, I just realized. Anyway, on page 400 I have 230 pages left. I could do that, maybe. I think it's currently 9:30, which is a bit later than I wanted to. After dinner I always stick around with my mom to watch TV a little, but I went to bed, like I came back to my room at 8 and I saw that Smosh had uploaded 2 videos, one on the main channel, one on games. So I watched that, and then I also got distracted by another video, just on my recommended, so it's not even that necessary, but I got distracted. So it's 9:30 now. And I did not plan this, but I think this is doable. I'm a little bit tired, but not that much. And I did read this whole chunk very quickly, so I'm hoping that this will get done tonight. I mean, that's very much a stretch goal. Like I said, I have 2 days per book, so I technically have all of tomorrow as well to read this book, but I don't know, I just think it would be nice to finish it in one day. And also I'm just so invested in this book, because in these last 100 pages that I read, the first bit of like the second part of this book, again we're delving into some interesting things. We're kind of delving into Adeline's like mental health after what she experienced in the first part of this book, which was dark shit, like I said before. So I think that's interesting. The romance is starting to come into play a little bit more, which I'm not the biggest fan of the romance, so that's maybe gonna piss me off, but I'm really liking this book, so I want to try and finish it tonight. Hi, it is the next day, and I did indeed, before going to sleep yesterday, finish Hunting Adeline. I give this 4 stars, just like the first book, but I did enjoy this a bit more. I feel like enjoy is not really the right word with how dark it is, but I liked it a bit more. As I said in my previous update, still not a fan of the romance, and that's honestly, this was so close to being a fight for me, but in the second half we really end up on the romance again, and I was just like, you know what, this is why I this is what I not like about it, and it still don't. And I feel like it's just so stupid, because if you take aside the fact that he was a stalker, which is obviously what makes this romance fucked up, but even if you take that out of the equation, I still don't think the romance is well written, which is a shame, because the rest of the book is really well written. Like I feel like when it comes to the plot, it's just really tight, it's really well done, the pacing is great. I loved delving into Adeline's trauma in the second half of this book because of what she went through in the first one. I feel like that was very well done, very realistically done, and I really enjoyed seeing that progression of her character throughout the second half. Like I said, the plot was very engaging, very interesting, but the woman just isn't it. It's so cringy, it's so eye-roll worthy, and at times it even made me want to throw up because it was too much. And it really just isn't believable or well written or very interesting. And that's even just taking out the fact that he was a stalker in the first book, you know what I mean? So that disappoints me because, like I said, the rest of the book was really well done. So yeah, now moving on to The Lion Game. It is already like 2:30 almost. Yes, because I had some stuff to get done this morning, and then I watched a new episode of Taskmaster, so I'm a little bit behind on my day, but I will still see how much of this I can crack out today. It is 381 pages, which means that technically I should be getting this done relatively easily, considering this is like almost double that, and I read it in one day, but I still don't think I'll be able to get this done today, but we'll see. Today has been a day full of distractions, so much so that I forgot that I still needed to update you. Anyway, just before dinner, I got to page 200 of The Lion Game. I didn't really update you any sooner because I still don't really know what to say about this book. I mean, I can give you a synopsis. This book follows, what's her name? This book we follow Isa, who, when she was a teenager, she went to a boarding school, and there she met these three other girls. They became really close friends, and they kind of became infamous at the school for their Lion Game, which is basically just them making up stories and giving each other points based on to who they lie to, how they get away with it, stuff like that. And now it's years and years down the line, and Isa has recently just given birth, and she now with a newborn. I believe she's the kid is 6 months old. They mentioned she one night just gets a random text from one of these women named Kate, basically saying, "I need you." And that's a thing they used to do in boarding school, where they just like drop everything and get there for all of them. Today I'll go back to this town where Kate still lives, that the boarding school used to be at. It's still there, but like, you know what I mean? And they quickly find out that the reason that Kate brought them there is that earlier someone found a bone, and that's, you know, leading to something. We don't know what. They're panicking about it. We don't know why. And it's basically told, not necessarily dual timeline, because I feel like that's more evenly split, but we do get flashbacks to that time in boarding school. So I am on page 200, and I feel like I finally figured out what's happening. I feel like the first like chunk of this, I was along for the ride, don't get me wrong. I especially really like the chapter set in the past at a boarding school. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I always love a boarding school setting, so I was eating those scenes up. But present day, I felt like we weren't really doing anything. We were constantly alluding to like this terrible thing that happened, and that's why we were careful, and like we just say we don't know anything. That's our cover story. We don't know anything. That's all we got. And obviously a bone was found, and that made all of this happen. So something happened that makes these girls panic when a bone is found, but we have no clue what. And honestly, at this point, we still don't 100% for sure know what, although I have a good idea what. But I feel like it kept me in mystery for too long, especially considering it's a thing that our characters know. I feel like we as a reader could know a little bit earlier. I feel like, of course, you're not gonna tell us right from the jump, but this far in, I'm over the halfway mark. It took a really long time. And I honestly was starting to get a little bit disinterested, and now we're finally like starting to unfold things that might have happened, and it is some fucked up shit. But we have gotten some reveals, and that could be it. I really hope it's not, because I feel like the way things got revealed, I feel like there's definitely more things going on under the surface as well that are not like fully being brought up yet. So I think things is gonna go down much more, especially because, you know, I still have 180 pages left. And I do definitely think I'm at a turning point for this book, but up until now, I haven't really had that much thoughts about it. I was along for the ride. I was not necessarily having a bad time, but I also wasn't necessarily having a good time. But definitely, I was upset when my mom called me that dinner was ready, because I'm in the middle of a turning point, and I want to get there. Hi, how are you doing? It is the next day and I just finished The Lion Game by Ruth Ware. Actually finished it right after lunch, so that's good progress. This was a 2-star though, unfortunately. It just, you know that TikTok sound that goes like, I hope you're hungry for nothing? That's what this book is. It's a nothing burger. It really, almost nothing happens in this book. It's so slow, and like, you know, I like a slow build mystery. This was just slow build. There was barely any mystery to it. The reveals were also just so predictable. Like, there was, I don't know, I thought I'm coming from miles and miles away, and considering there isn't even much to clue given in this, I feel like, you know, that's a shame. Couldn't even misdirect me correctly. And at least have those reveals be shockers. No, everything was so obvious. There was nothing about this. I do say I didn't hate my time as I still finished it. I could have DNF'd it, so it's not a 1-star, and never at any point really felt the urge to DNF it. I didn't at any point actively like dislike my time reading it, so it's a 2. But really it's just a whole lot of nothing. So yeah, I finished my library TBR before I have to go to the library because it's Sunday. It's actually Mother's Day where I live, and I just got a message from my mom that, well, I'm going to my grandparents' house to celebrate, which was not on the plan. So I'm glad that I managed to finish both books now already, because I probably won't have any reading time anymore today. But yeah, I will for I review. I'm glad. Honestly, I could have done without this, but because yeah, I was glad I read both. But like, I generally could have done without this. But I mean, it's now I only need to read 1 book, and I'm done with Ruth Ware's backlist. So at least there's that. But yeah, those were my thoughts on these books. I can't believe I actually managed to do this and this quickly, because the last time I did a video like this, I flopped. It put me in a reading slump. So I'm glad that I actually flew through both of these books, and I'm very excited to keep reading. Just won't be for today because I'm going out. But see you later.
Here I am again, the same old situation. Why does the God thing have to be so complicated? Should've played it cool.